Most men believe that going silent is the final move when a relationship falls apart. They think the moment they stop calling, texting, or reacting, the strategy is complete. But the truth is that silence alone is not what changes the dynamic. Silence simply creates space, and what happens after that space is created determines everything. When you step away and hold your ground, something subtle begins to happen in the other person's mind. At first, she may feel a sense of control, almost like she has won the situation. Your absence might appear to confirm what she expected, that you would eventually fade away. Yet, as the days pass and the quiet continues, that initial confidence slowly transforms into curiosity. She begins to wonder what you are doing, who you are becoming, and whether you are truly moving forward without her. This is the psychological shift that no contact creates. It interrupts the familiar emotional pattern between two people. Instead of the predictable cycle of arguments, messages, apologies, and explanations, there is suddenly a pause. Human nature struggles with unfinished stories. When communication stops unexpectedly, the mind starts filling the silence with questions. That is why this phase matters so much. The silence itself is not meant to punish anyone or play games. Its real purpose is to reset the emotional environment so both people can see things more clearly. During this time, she may go through several emotional reactions. At first, there might be relief or even pride. Then comes the moment when the absence becomes noticeable. Memories start resurfacing. She may remember small details about you that once felt ordinary, but now feel meaningful. Your laugh, the way you approached problems, the conversations you had about the future. These memories often appear when there is no longer constant interaction clouding the mind. Distance has a way of revealing value, but this is where many men make a mistake. They assume that once the silence has done its work, the next step is to rush back in and reclaim the connection. They break the quiet impulsively with long emotional messages, explanations, or apologies. In doing so, they unintentionally erase the very shift they created. When someone senses desperation or urgency, it changes the emotional balance immediately. The mystery disappears and the dynamic returns to what it was before. Instead, the period after no contact should be approached with patience and awareness. Think of it as observing the landscape before taking the next step. Her behavior will often reveal more than her words. She might send a casual message that seems insignificant on the surface, a simple greeting, a reaction to something online, or a brief comment about something random. These small gestures are rarely random. Often they are quiet ways of testing whether the door is still open. When that moment happens, the key is not to react from excitement or anxiety. Responding immediately with overwhelming enthusiasm can signal that nothing has changed internally. True confidence shows itself through calm responses and emotional steadiness. A short, relaxed reply can communicate far more strength than paragraphs of explanation. The goal is not to impress her with effort. The goal is to show that your life has continued to move forward in a healthy direction. At the same time, this stage is also about your own growth. The time you spent apart was not only about giving her space to reflect, it was also an opportunity for you to reconnect with yourself. Many relationships slowly shift a person's focus away from personal goals and inner stability. When distance appears, it creates a rare opportunity to rebuild that foundation. Maybe you began focusing more on your physical health, your work, your passions, or simply your peace of mind. These changes are not meant to be performed or displayed for approval. They are meant to become part of who you are. Ironically, genuine self-improvement often becomes visible without any effort to show it. When someone senses that you are calmer, more focused, and more grounded than before, it naturally changes how they perceive you. Attraction rarely returns because someone begs for it. It returns when someone becomes a version of themselves that feels confident, balanced, and emotionally stable. As communication slowly begins again, subtlety becomes your greatest advantage. There is no need to explain everything you have done or every realization you had during the silence. Curiosity is powerful. When people sense that there is more to discover about you, they become naturally drawn to learn more. A calm tone, light conversation, and a sense that your life is active and fulfilling can quietly rebuild intrigue. The important thing to remember is that reconnecting does not mean returning to the exact same emotional pattern that existed before. The silence created an opportunity for a different dynamic to form. Instead of chasing reassurance, you are now communicating from a place of self-respect and emotional balance. That shift alone can completely transform how both people experience the connection. And perhaps the most important realization during this stage is understanding that your value does not depend on whether she returns or not. The purpose of growth is not to convince someone to stay. It is to become someone who naturally attracts respect, appreciation, and genuine interest. When that mindset becomes real, every conversation carries a different energy. You are no longer trying to prove your worth. You are simply living in a way that quietly reflects it. The silence that once felt uncomfortable becomes a turning point. Instead of being a gap between two people, it becomes the moment where clarity begins to form. And when communication finally resumes, it has the potential to grow from a stronger, healthier foundation rather than repeating the same patterns that led to distance in the first place. As communication slowly reopens, many men feel a rush of excitement. After weeks of silence, even a small message can feel like a huge breakthrough. But this is the stage where emotional discipline becomes incredibly important. Reconnecting is not about jumping straight back into the intensity of the past. It is about rebuilding the interaction step by step in a way that feels natural, relaxed, and balanced. When she reaches out, the best response is often simple and calm. A friendly tone without excessive emotion shows that you are open to conversation but not dependent on it. This balance communicates confidence. It tells her that you are comfortable whether the conversation continues or not. Ironically, that calm attitude often makes people want to engage even more because it removes pressure and tension. At this point, curiosity begins to play a powerful role. During the period of silence, she has likely wondered about your life. What have you been doing? Have you changed? Are you happier now? When you respond to her messages, it is important not to reveal everything at once. Mystery keeps conversations alive. If she asks what you have been up to, a relaxed answer that hints at growth without over-explaining can create intrigue. For example, you might mention that you have been focusing on new goals, exploring new interests, or improving certain areas of your life. You do not need to present a dramatic transformation. Small, genuine improvements often carry more authenticity than exaggerated stories. The key idea is that your life has continued moving forward. Another helpful approach is allowing conversations to remain light at first. Instead of immediately revisiting old problems or emotional conflicts, keep the interaction comfortable and positive. Humor, shared memories, and casual topics help rebuild familiarity. This stage is not about solving the entire relationship overnight. It is simply about reopening the door in a healthy way. While communication grows again, it is also important to maintain emotional balance. One common mistake people make after reconnecting is becoming too available too quickly. They reply instantly to every message, rearrange their entire schedule, and prioritize the other person above everything else. Although this may feel like kindness, it often removes the sense of value and independence that was created during the silent period. Healthy connections require two people who both have their own lives. Continue focusing on your goals, friendships, and personal growth. When someone sees that your life remains full and meaningful, it naturally increases respect. Instead of appearing like someone who has been waiting around, you appear as someone who chooses to engage while still maintaining your own direction. Social media can also influence this stage, but it should be used carefully. Occasionally sharing moments from your life, such as a new hobby, a trip outdoors, or progress toward a personal goal, can quietly show that you are evolving. However, posting too frequently or trying too obviously to attract attention can create the opposite effect. Subtlety is always more powerful than trying to prove something. Curiosity works not only through posts but also through conversation. When people feel that there is more to learn about you, they naturally invest more effort. If she asks about a new interest or project, you can share a little while, leaving room for future conversations. This gentle sense of discovery keeps the interaction engaging without pressure. Another important part of this stage is observing effort. Healthy relationships are built when both people contribute energy and interest. If she initiates conversations, asks questions, or suggests meeting up, those actions show genuine engagement. Instead of immediately rushing to meet every request, allow the pace to remain balanced. For example, if she asks about meeting sometime, you can respond warmly while still considering your schedule. This communicates that your time has value and that the connection should grow naturally rather than through urgency. Boundaries also become important here. If past conflicts come up, or emotional tension appears, responding with calm maturity can change the entire tone of the interaction. Instead of reacting defensively or emotionally, acknowledge the conversation while staying composed. This demonstrates growth and emotional stability. Over time, that stability becomes one of the most attractive qualities a person can show. At the same time, remember that reconnecting is not about recreating the exact relationship that existed before. Both people have had time to reflect and change. This creates an opportunity to build something healthier than what previously existed. That might mean communicating more openly, respecting personal space, or approaching disagreements with more patience. The energy you bring into conversations matters more than the exact words you say. When someone senses that you are relaxed, self-assured, and emotionally steady, they naturally feel more comfortable around you. That atmosphere encourages deeper conversations and genuine reconnection. Perhaps the most powerful shift during this stage is internal. Instead of focusing entirely on whether she returns, your attention begins to center on whether the connection is truly healthy and fulfilling for both of you. This perspective changes everything. You are no longer trying to win someone back. You are simply exploring whether a renewed connection can grow in a balanced and respectful way. That mindset creates confidence without arrogance and openness without desperation. It shows that you value yourself while still being capable of caring about someone else. And when that balance is present, conversations feel lighter, more genuine, and far more meaningful. As the connection continues to grow again, the most powerful thing you can bring into the dynamic is emotional stability. Many people underestimate how attractive calm confidence can be. When someone senses that you are steady, grounded, and not easily shaken by emotional waves, it creates a feeling of safety. That sense of stability naturally draws people closer because it feels rare and reassuring. Reconnecting after time apart can bring unexpected emotional moments. She may bring up memories from the past, express confusion about what happened, or even test your reactions in subtle ways. These moments are not necessarily negative. Often they are simply attempts to understand whether the situation between you has truly changed. Instead of reacting quickly or defensively, give yourself a moment to breathe and respond with clarity. When someone approaches emotional topics calmly, it signals maturity and growth. It shows that you are not the same person who once reacted impulsively. This kind of emotional control is powerful because it communicates that you are capable of handling challenges without creating chaos. Over time, that energy builds trust. Another important shift during this phase is the direction of the relationship itself. Instead of focusing only on what happened before, begin thinking about what the future could look like. People are naturally attracted to those who have vision. When a person feels that you are moving toward meaningful goals, it makes them curious about becoming part of that journey. This does not mean making dramatic promises or painting unrealistic pictures. It simply means sharing your genuine ambitions and passions. Maybe you are working toward improving your career, learning new skills, or creating a life that feels more balanced and fulfilling. When you speak about these things with calm enthusiasm, it communicates purpose. Purpose is magnetic. It gives your life direction whether someone else is present or not. When she senses that your path is meaningful and forward-moving, it naturally changes how she sees the connection between you. Instead of feeling like she is the center of your world, she sees that you are building a world of your own. Ironically, that independence often makes people more eager to be part of it. At the same time, reconnecting should never mean losing sight of your own worth. One of the most important lessons from time apart is recognizing the value of your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being. When someone truly respects you, they show it not only through words, but also through consistent effort and consideration. Healthy relationships grow through mutual investment. Both people contribute attention, understanding, and care. If that balance begins to appear naturally as communication grows, it can create a strong foundation for something meaningful. But if the effort continues to come from only one side, it may be a sign that the connection has reached its natural limit. Recognizing this difference requires honesty with yourself. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is being willing to walk away again if the dynamic becomes unhealthy. Letting go does not mean failure. It simply means understanding that not every connection is meant to continue forever. Self-respect also changes the energy you bring into every interaction. When you truly believe that your presence has value, you no longer feel the need to prove it constantly. You speak calmly, listen carefully, and engage with confidence. People often feel that energy even before they understand why it feels different. During this stage, it is also helpful to remember that attraction often grows quietly. It does not always appear through dramatic declarations or sudden emotional confessions. More often, it grows through small moments of connection, laughter, understanding, and shared curiosity about each other's lives. Each relaxed conversation builds familiarity again. Each respectful interaction rebuilds trust. Each moment of emotional steadiness reinforces the sense that something has genuinely changed between you. Over time, those moments accumulate and shape a new perception. And perhaps the most powerful realization of all is this: the time you spent focusing on yourself was never wasted. Whether the relationship ultimately continues or not, the growth you experienced remains with you. The confidence, emotional balance, and clarity you developed become part of who you are moving forward. When you approach life from that perspective, relationships stop feeling like something you must chase or control. Instead, they become something you choose to build when the connection feels healthy, respectful, and aligned with your values. In the end, silence was never about creating distance alone. It was about creating space for reflection, growth, and clarity. It allowed both of you to step back and see the connection from a different angle. What happens next depends not on clever strategies or perfect words, but on the authenticity and strength you bring into each interaction. If the two of you reconnect with mutual respect and genuine effort, the relationship can evolve into something stronger than it was before. And if the paths eventually lead in different directions, you still move forward as a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Either way, the most important thing to remember is simple. Your worth was never determined by whether someone stayed or left. It was always defined by how you value yourself, how you grow through challenges, and how you continue building a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling.